Hello, students. Good day. How are you doing? I hope you're all doing well and excited for our class. Welcome to our class in Oral Communication in Context, Week 3, Quarter 1. I am Patricia Baan, your teacher for today. Are you ready? Then, let's get started. Our lesson for today is geared towards achieving this learning competency. Use strategies to avoid communication breakdown. Now, let's try by having our first activity. Our first activity is called How Much Do I Know? For this activity, you will need a pen and a paper to write on. Then, copy the graphic organizer on your paper and answer the following questions. Number 1. What do you think are the barriers of communication? Number 2. What do you think are the 7 C's of effective communication? Are you done? Very good. Let's find out later if your answers are correct. Let's now study the 7 C's of effective communication. The first C of effective communication is called completeness. When communicating, it is important that the sender considers everything. For example, the facts and figures required for the receiver to know in order to make the message complete. The second C of effective communication is conciseness. The sender keeps what he deems as essential or important words and removes insignificant information, making it straight to the point for his or her audience. The third C of effective communication is consideration. As a speaker, you have to picture yourself in the shoes of your audience. Consider the receiver's education, mood, culture, race, mindset, background, and etc. The fourth C of effective communication is concreteness. It refers to the quality of the sender's message in providing real-life situations, thus making the receiver connected to the message conveyed. The fifth C of effective communication is called courtesy. As the sender of the message, it is important that you have the respect to the morals, values, norms, cultures, and beliefs of the receiver. The sixth C of effective communication is clearness. To achieve clearness in communication, one needs to use simple, specific words or message or goal at a time. The last C of effective communication is correctness. It is the use of correct grammar, rules, and conventions of spelling, punctuations, style, and the like. The correct use of it increases the sender's credibility in delivering the message. Now, let's find out what are the different barriers of communication. One barrier of communication is called emotional barrier. This is an emotional factor that impedes the speaker from willingly expressing one's thoughts and feelings to others, or the receiver's inability to receive the message effectively. Another barrier of communication is called the use of jargon. Jargon is a specialized language in a certain field. It is sometimes known as lingo or a terminology of a certain group. The third barrier of communication that is common to most people is the lack of confidence. It is the fear that hinders the speaker to express his or her needs, ideas, and opinions. And the fourth barrier of communication is a noisy environment. It is the external factor that blocks the attention of the speaker and the receiver of the message. All right, now you have learned the 7 C's of effective communication, namely completeness, conciseness, consideration, concreteness, courtesy, clearness, and correctness. And you have also learned the different barriers of communication, such as emotional barrier, use of jargon, lack of confidence, and noisy environment. Did you also have the same answers in our activity earlier? If yes, that's very good. If not, it's okay. Be thankful because this lesson is for you. Now, let us practice further to strengthen what you have learned. For our next activity, get your notebook, then copy the graphic organizer that you can see right now. After that, complete it by writing examples for each barrier of communication. Are you done? That's great. Now, let's practice more. Listen to the following situations and identify what C of effective communication is reflected. Judge if it is bad or good example of an effective communication. Justify your answer. If it is a bad example, change the situation to become a good example. Let me show you how to do it. Holy Land is the best inland resort in the mountaintop. Come and join us in during holidays. What C of effective communication is reflected? Correct. It's concreteness. However, it is a poor example of an effective communication. That's because, number one, the message is vague. Number two, it made no difference for the other inland resort in the world. And number three, there is no concrete detail to take away for the audience to remember. To make it a good example, we can say, Holy Land is the jewel in mountaintop of Davao del Sur, nestled at the hills of Mount Apo, the highest peak in the Philippines. Escape from the life's chaos and stress. Take a break from the city life. Relax and go back fresh and energized. Now, it's your turn. Write your answers on your notebook. Number two, the principal secretary to teacher aide. Thank you for submitting your report before the deadline. You will be called and the principal will give you a detailed feedback. Number three, Andy receives an email to his inbox. Hi Andy, I do not appreciate how your ICT team rejects my team alone. Can you ensure that your team responds promptly to the request of our ABM team here on? Sandra, are you done? That's good. Well done for this activity, students. Now, let us remember, communication fails because of communication barriers. Effective communication involves overcoming these barriers. There are barriers that affect the flow of communication, thus making the communication ineffective. To deepen now your understanding, let's assess what you know by completing the graphic organizer. For our assessment, you are going to cite the barrier, give example, and cite a solution based on what is given. Number one, emotional barrier is given. Cite an example of an emotional barrier and a solution for it. Number two, an example is given. You are a doctor discussing about a common disease that your neighbor is not familiar with. What barrier of communication is it? And what do you think can be the solution? Number 3, a solution is given. Look for opportunities in your school that would help you develop your self-confidence. What barrier of communication do you think it is? And can you also give an example? Number 4, noisy environment is given as a barrier. Cite an example of a noisy environment and cite as well a solution for it. Now that we're done, let's enhance further your knowledge by clicking our e-link. For your task, do the following. Answer the exercise on the barriers of communication found in the given link. And number 2, watch the video in the given link and share your thoughts in your OralCom group page. Finally, we're almost through with our lesson. It's time for you to reflect. Write your reflection on your notebook and answer this question. What additional ideas did you learn in this lesson? Now we're done. You have learned now the strategies to use in order to avoid communication breakdown. Congratulations, students! You all did very well, and I hope you have learned a lot in today's lesson. Once again, thank you for attending the class. This is teacher Patricia P. Baan saying have a great day and see you next time. Goodbye!